Thank you so much for reaching out to our accessibility consulting company, DEI to the MACKS. Accessibility issues, as well as all things related to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, are near and dear to us, and we are just honored that you reached out to us to help with this. We know that it's really hard when there's a valued, loved member of your company that you realize hasn't been getting the support or hasn't felt the belonging that we want them to. So we are very excited to share with you the solution that we came up with. We'll go over how we empathized with users to make this experience centered around them. We'll also go into how we defined the problem or the need. We'll walk you through our ideation process and then share with you our solution that we recommend.
We first started with conducting interviews that allowed us to talk to people who have unique mobility abilities and to gain a better understanding for the needs that they have and the issues that they face. We also wanted to make sure that we were up to date with the ADA guidelines, as this is crucial for businesses and companies to know the standards and the necessary guidelines that they are required to meet. By gathering all of this data and conducting all of this research, again, we were able to come up with 3 main takeaways that we wanted to implement into our solution. The first takeaway was that oftentimes attempts to create a more accessible environment can actually create social barriers. Our second takeaway was that sometimes the issue is that there's no clarity in buildings or areas about where people can go to find access. And then our third takeaway was that issues involving accessibility for people within the community often stem from a lack of understanding.
Like Abby said, we really tried to empathize with and understand the people that would be the recipients of this solution. And from the empathy data, I'm going to be sharing with you the problem statement or the need statement that we came up with. People with unique mobility abilities need a total work environment that allows for inclusivity and belonging, both structurally and socially, because removing structural barriers helps reduce social barriers and creates unity and belonging, which ultimately helps the organization perform better.
After we were able to define the need, we moved on to the ideation process. And this was where we all came together and moved on to ideating, keeping the empathy data in mind and making sure that we were effectively meeting the need. We wanted to stretch our breadth and depth, and so we set constraints for ourselves. And with that, we were able to come up with a plethora of ideas, and then moved on to voting on which ones we thought were the best based on the need that we had identified.
So as we moved forward from ideation into creating a solution, we designed a needs-based framework that can be adapted to the needs of your company to make it more accessible. And this is basically a week of trainings, activities, and implementation to help make your company more accessible. So day 1 starts with a kickoff, and these are trainings about using person-first language, as well as just the general training on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Day 2 is all about building understanding and empathy. So this could look like having a panel of people sharing their experiences, or even a Q&A. It could be people within your company sharing their experiences. It could be people within the community. Or if those aren't viable options, we also have a resource with a lot of TED Talks that can serve the same purpose. And then day 3 is all about experiencing a different point of view. And this looks like walking or wheeling through the office with somebody that uses a mobility assistance device, or just company employees wheeling through to see what it's like and gain that greater empathy.
Day 4 is when we move on to the implementation part. And we want to preface by stating that this is a really important phase to include those within your community with unique mobility abilities. As Kelly had mentioned before, we want this to be customizable to your company based on your needs. So we've provided solutions that cover different costs. The first ones are free or little cost, and this could be rearranging furniture or moving your meetings all to the first floor. This could also be weekly check-ins with members of your community with unique mobility abilities to, again, ensure that their needs are being met.
Moving up from these, we have options that cost a little bit. So some of these include signage that shows where accessible routes are. For example, accessible route to the bathroom, accessible route to this office, so that people know how to get where they need to be. We found that that was a major issue. Another implementation solution is having conversation cards in elevators or in workspaces. Elevators are often an awkward place where people don't know what to talk about, especially if there's somebody that has abilities different from them. So these conversation cards will help make things a lot less awkward.
Moving on to a little bit higher cost would be allowing for your employees, all employees, to completely have customizable workstations that fit their specific needs. And then we move on to the highest cost, which includes major renovations that would help with accessibility. And we recognize that those things would take time and a lot of money, but could have the potential to significantly improve the experience in your workplace.
And the final day of this framework, this accessibility week, is a reflection day. And this is honestly one of the most important days. It's where your company takes the things they learned to heart, sets personal goals of how they want to do better moving forward, and then also thinks about the implementation of the different elements that we just barely mentioned and how those things will be implemented and works towards that. So yeah, that's the framework, and we are excited to see how it helps your company moving forward. We've gone through the empathy data, the reasoning why the people need this, as well as how we define the problem. We've gone through our ideation process and then the solution we came up with. And we hope that all of this adds value to your company and helps really build the community of inclusivity, belonging, and accessibility that you want. And we're again so grateful that you reached out to us at DEI to the MACKS for help with this issue, and hope you know that you can reach out to us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't know why I can't talk now. I am
No,
so
you're totally
sorry.
One of the questions is, have you ever seen a volcano erupt?
Nice.
So, have you ever seen an elephant before?